r/nosleep. Posted by you/SouthParkiscool. Someone posted a classified image they found on the deep web. Part 1. The internet is a gigantic place. Some parts of the internet are funny, other parts of the internet are more serious, but certain parts of the internet are quite scary. Sometimes you don't even know what you're going to get. A random link can take you to somewhere funny or to somewhere creepy. You can't trust every link. Do not attempt to track down the source of every weird image you come across either. While browsing through my favorite subreddits one evening, I remembered a certain post I read once that I found interesting. It was a post about a leaked image that was possibly a classified image no one was supposed to see. I typed the title of the post, as I remembered it, into the search bar. I added quotations too to narrow down the search. I looked through the search results for half an hour. I couldn't find the post. At one point, I found what I thought was the post, based on the title being a near match. I found this image on the dark web. It was taken by a government screenshot. I clicked on the post, hoping it was what I was looking for. It wasn't what I was looking for. It was a screenshot of an image of a squirrel with 24 long, sharp claws, and a mouth that took up most of its head. It had no jaw. Just extra teeth. There were random numbers and letters at the top and bottom of the image. I didn't know what they meant, however. I don't remember the exact sequences either. I found it interesting. At first, I thought it was an image someone edited with Photoshop. 1 minute into looking at it, I noticed there was something real about it. It didn't look like a creepypasta edit or CGI animation. It was lifelike with a lot of realistic details. I started to get chills as I looked at it, so I scrolled down to read the comments. There were 3. This is probably fake. Where is that from? Probably just a leaked image from an upcoming movie. I didn't want to scroll back up. The image was a muscle-tightening level of scary. The people who make creepy video thumbnails would do anything to make edits that are as realistic and scary as that image. I dreaded the thought of looking at it again. I was, however, curious if there were any new comments. I refreshed the page. After refreshing, all 3 of the comments had been removed. I scrolled up a bit, noticing the post itself was removed as well. I was surprised, but then I noticed the post was made only 5 minutes earlier. While the image of the squirrel was terrifying, I was interested in finding its source. It looked too real to be fake. There's no way it was just photoshopped. That was all despite the fact it didn't even look like it was of this world. I wanted to find out where it originated from. Whether it was real or not too, in case it was somehow not real. I felt like I had looked at something I wasn't supposed to see. Something classified. Something that is being kept secret by a government. Something only I and a few internet strangers may have seen. I was already 21 years old, but I still had some spare time on my hands. Enough time to search for whatever it was I saw. I downloaded a VPN, then I did some research about the deep web. I downloaded Tor browser, then I began to dig through the hidden wiki. I knew it was likely filled with a bunch of FBI agents, but I wasn't looking for anything illegal. As long as I didn't click a bad link, I'd be fine, I thought to myself. Of course, I did tremble at the idea of going into an innocent-looking link that turned out to be bad. I looked through the deep web for weeks, trying to find a trace of the demonic squirrel. But there were none. I did multiple puzzles in case any of them would lead to at least a trace of it. I didn't know how to complete most of the puzzles, but there were tips on the internet that helped me complete more of the puzzles than I could have otherwise. About a month in, I stumbled across a puzzle that was just 20 circles with weird symbols in between them. There was a timer that counted down from 1800 hours. I was supposed to solve the problem in under 18 minutes. After doing all those other puzzles and riddles, I felt like it was easier to do this one. It was especially easy as it was very similar to some of the other ones I had already done. I solved it when the timer was 10 seconds away from hitting 0. When I solved it, I was taken to a blank black screen. A couple seconds later, black silhouettes started dancing all over the screen. It was hypnotizing, but then it started to remind me of crawling bugs, which gave me a chill down my spine. The silhouettes crawled all over the screen. I watched it for a while until I noticed there was something in the middle of the screen. Very faint numbers. The first one was highlighted in blue. I hit each number on my keyboard. In the order they were in on the screen. It was like one of those prove you're human things. It was interesting that I didn't have to type any password in. After typing the numbers, the screen went black again. 1 minute later, the screen turned magenta. It remained blank, however. I waited for something to pop up, but nothing did. Even after half an hour, nothing popped up. The screen didn't change at all. That couldn't have been it though, I thought. I set the laptop aside for a few hours. I checked back. The screen was still blank. I left it alone for one day. I checked back. The screen was still blank. I decided to forget about it. If anything was going to pop up, it would take a while. 3.5 days after that, I turned the screen back on. The page had finally changed. There was a message in the middle of the screen. The true extent to existence is documented here. There was a link under the message. Of course, I clicked it. After I clicked it, the link, along with the message, disappeared. The screen turned orange. Dozens of links popped up all over the orange page. They were all labeled with vague titles. Stuff like Lucy leaves and you're late. I clicked on the first one. It was titled "What Kind of Fish Is This?" It was a video taken inside a submarine. The camera was put up against a window. The sea was dark. Nothing could be seen. Then it got darker. A dark silhouette had popped up. It took a second for me to realize it was getting closer to the window. By the time I realized that, a dark gray squirmy mass pushed itself up against the window. The camera shook. I shook too. An eye opened up. It was red with a green triangular pupil in the middle. Alarms started going off within the submarine. The video ended seconds later. I shivered. Whatever that was. All I knew was that it was creepy. I went back to the page with all the links on it. I was hoping the page I was just on was the only creepy one on the site. My hopes were crushed when I clicked on the next link. Look across the ocean, it was titled. It was a video of the ocean, taken from a boat. There were barely any waves out on the ocean. There was a fog in the distance. Other than that, I didn't know what I was supposed to see. I was confused, but then my question was answered. A colossal silhouette formed within the fog. I felt a wave of dread. The thing, whatever it was massive. The fog took up a lot of the sky. That thing took up a lot of the fog. I clicked back to the page filled of links. The next one was titled "Good Year," an image of two people sitting on a bench. They had eyes bigger than normal eyes and long fingers. Everything around them looked normal, but unfamiliar at the same time. The image had an exact date on it, May 23, 4037. Out of morbid curiosity, along with my eagerness to find out which one of the links included the source of the squirrel image, I kept looking through the links for a couple more hours. Some of the things I saw on there were more disturbing, while some of the other stuff I saw on there was at least a little bit interesting. There were videos of science experiments going wrong, like a very graphic one called "Goodbye Sly." There were images of New York City from different alternate realities, classified documents about movies and songs that were mysteriously forgotten about then covered up for some time because some kind of dangerous entities were connected to them, chilling videos of a squid-like creature in a containment room, and a document from an alternate reality that was found in a church in Wisconsin, which detailed an event called the War Against Satan's Titans, a 10-day incident that resulted in 100 million deaths worldwide. I spent 2 hours clicking on random links. I learned to ignore the ones that had "goodbye bye" and "leave" in the title. When I began to get tired, I decided I had seen enough. Most of the stuff on there was downright creepy anyway. I closed everything, then I went to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I checked my phone. I had gotten a weird Gmail message. Click, it was titled. The name attached to the message was a common one. It seemed like a normal message at first, but then I opened it. I opened it to read the full message, but I had already seen the full message. It was just that one word. Click. I was confused. Who would send me an email with one word in it to start a thread? Must be a bot or something, I thought. I closed it without much thought right afterwards. 1 minute after I closed it, I got another message from the same person. Go outside. I was still confused, but I was still under the suspicion that it was a bot, so I ignored that message as well. Throughout that day, I thought about all the stuff I saw on the deep web the previous day. Again, some of it was interesting, but some of it was terrifying. I got chills just by thinking about the creepy stuff. I didn't feel like going back to that site at all. Also, I knew I could get into trouble for looking at classified information, so I wasn't planning on going back to that site anyway. That's when a thought occurred to me. The messages from that morning were bot-like, but what if they weren't? I wondered. It was just a thought though. I decided to wait until something else happened before I made the assumption that the messages were from someone who knew I looked at those things on the deep web. At 4:55 p.m. that day, I got a third message. Was it the squirrel? I chose to assume T's messages didn't have to do with me. I didn't want to believe they were. I chose not to assume the sender was talking about the squirrel I saw the previous day. The message was vague, but it was close to confirming my idea that I was caught looking at all that classified stuff. But I needed a clear message to understand what this person was trying to tell me. As I was thinking, I got a fourth message from them. You solved the puzzle, then what? My heart sank. I was being stalked. Great. I shouldn't have clicked into anything. But it was too late for Scholz though, wasn't it? I thought to myself about this. I decided not to go outside for a bit until at least a week after I had received the question. I avoided answering it as well. I wasn't going to let it get to me. When I felt comfortable again, I went outside for a walk. I was dumb for forgetting the message telling me to go outside. I mean, it was vague and seemed unnecessary. Halfway through the walk, I noticed a dark gray car with tinted windows was parked down the road. I didn't think much of it at first, but later on, during a trip to the convenience store, as I was walking out of the store, I saw a similar looking gray car parked right outside in the parking lot. I avoided looking in the direction of it. After I got back home, I peeked out the living room window for a minute. Another very similar gray car with tinted windows passed by. I didn't want to think it was the same car, but I couldn't shake the hunch. I felt dread at the thought of being in trouble with the government. Those were probably 3 different similar looking cars, I hoped. But even then, what would that mean? I wondered. Was there a convention of some sort? I wanted to think I was just irrationally applying stuff to myself, but the patterns were getting too strong. I felt a tight sensation. I wanted out. I went into my room to delete the VPN. I deleted the VPN, backed everything up, and did a factory reset. It was all I could think of at that moment. After about a week, I got a knock on my door. It was a man in a dark blue suit. He had the standard government agent look, except his suit was more blue than black. I felt a sinking feeling after I saw him. It was time for me to be interrogated, I thought. I let the agent in. We both sat down on the couch over in the living room. We got informed of a visit you made to a website on the dark web. A site we didn't know existed. What do you know about it? The agent asked. I accessed it by doing a puzzle. We know about the puzzle already. What do you know about the videos and images on the site? They were creepy. There was one of a weird fish under the sea. And another one of a big object. Or creature. In the fog out on an ocean, I said. I was sweating, but I knew if I answered all the questions with what I knew was true, I would be off the hook. I then mentioned the stuff about cover-ups and pictures from alternate realities. I don't know how much of those things are real though, I said. The agent kept a straight face. We're going to have to investigate the devices you have in this house. We won't take any of them. We just want to see them, the agent asked. I gave them my laptop. I told the agent I reset it because of all the creepy stuff. The agent set the laptop down on the kitchen table. They opened up Tor, they looked through my gallery. Investigating it thoroughly. I didn't think they'd find anything very fishy on there though. They checked my phone next. After moments of looking through it, the agent handed it back to me. He decided there was inconclusive evidence, then he was on his way out. Alright. That will be all. It's best not to visit that website again. You could end up seeing something that'll bother you for a lifetime. You will also end up being interrogated. Your life will be very different when you're with us, the agent said. I understand, I said. His last 2 sentences gave me chills. I didn't want to know how an interrogation would go down for me. Hopefully it wouldn't be as bad as I've heard it has been in the States. As I began to worry about my future a bit more, the agent left my house. He shut the door behind him on his way out. I was relieved. That had to have been it, I thought. A few days later, I went grocery shopping. As I walked out of the grocery store, I spotted the same dark gray car with tinted windows that had been following me days earlier. It was parked near the front of the row of cars to my right. I felt a dreadful tightness again. I thought that was it? I thought. I was confused. They didn't find anything on my devices, so why did they want to keep watching me? I wondered. I told myself it was a coincidence, in order to ease my anxiety. However, I then saw a man get into the dark gray car. It was the agent who questioned me. He was wearing casual clothing, but the face matched. I knew it was him for sure. Hopefully, he'll stop following me soon, I thought. Whatever I stumbled across definitely put me on a list. After I got home, I distracted myself by focusing on my usual interests. Stuff on my laptop. That was when I heard a knock on my window. What was that? I wondered. I went up to the window. With confusion, I peeked outside to see what was going on. A person in a black hoodie was standing in my backyard. They were looking up into my window. It was unnerving to see this random person standing in my backyard, looking at me through my window. I knew they wanted something, though. As I made eye contact with them, they pointed towards the table right under the window. There was a note on it, along with a phone sitting beside the note. I couldn't read the note from my window, But I realized the person in the hoodie wanted me to go out there to read it, instead of bringing it right up to me. I decided to open the window so I could ask them what they wanted, but they ran out of my backyard before I even began to open the window. I walked into my living room to try to catch this person out the window. After a couple seconds of waiting, I saw the person speed walk down my driveway, then past my house. I walked out the front door. What was this going to be? I wondered. I almost didn't care about the chilly late winter weather as I walked around back to my backyard, filled with curiosity again. I ran up to the table. The note on the table was being held down by a rock. I leaned in to read it. None of what you saw on that site was from this reality. Watch the video on the phone. Dispose of this note and the phone afterwards. They're watching you. I went right back into my room with the phone and the note. I don't know if the phone is a trick or not, but I have already gotten so deep into this thing, so I probably can't back out. I have to watch the video on the phone. I dread what could happen next. I could end up being tortured if I don't watch the video, or I could end up being tortured if I do watch the video. Those are my two main worries. Even if they're just ideas I came up with in my head, they're quite conflicting. It might sound silly, but who would want to be in trouble with the government? You'd be pissing your pants too. I'm frozen in thought about it. I don't know what to do. I have to figure this out. Posted by you/SouthParkiscool. Someone posted a classified image they found on the deep web. Final. It was an older smartphone. Likely one from 2013. I turned it on, then I opened the gallery app. I was nervous, wondering what I was about to find. There was only one video in the app. Nothing else. I selected it. A woman with blonde hair was sitting on a bench up against a wall. She looked to be around my age. 21 or so. She began to speak with light urgency. Hello. You might be wondering who I am. I won't be telling you that information so I can remain anonymous, but what I will tell you is that the agents who are following you aren't trolling or pranking you. They are from an organization that is deep within the government. I can't and won't give you any names, as I don't want to be in even more trouble if I get caught. The reason I'm making you watch this is because the organization that is tracking you has been having trouble with the fact that things from different alternate realities keep leaking into this reality. They've been good at keeping these things under wraps, hidden from public knowledge, but they wanted to take the extra step in making sure nothing classified gets onto the internet. Recently, there was a big leak of info on a secluded deep website. A site you may have visited recently. And now government agents are watching you. This was a confusing video. That secluded deep website she mentioned was definitely the one I was looking at stuff on, and yes, agents were watching me because I looked at the stuff on there, but who is this person and how do they know all this? I wondered. As she continued to speak, her voice sounded more urgent. The deep website I'm referring to has recently been replaced with a text that says it has been found, and that an end sequence has begun. If you want to know how recent this is, look at the timestamp. It'll say March 10, 2022. This is very relevant right now and very urgent. Please meet me at the pit off of, I won't reveal the exact street, we have to do this quickly. Don't bring anything that can be tracked. And don't even bring your favorite code if you don't want to have to replace it, she continued. The video ended. This whole thing was getting nerve-wracking. I had to go find out what the end sequence was. Great, I thought. It sounded like Hollywood was trying to get me to act in a teen rebellion movie. I put on a coat, wondering if she was being serious or if she was a secret government troll. I stepped out the door. I felt as if I was being watched, because I knew I was being watched, so I put my hoodie up. I guess this is how it'll be, I thought. I was glad the pit was off of a big road. There was nowhere the agents could park or slowly follow behind me. I saw a gray car with tinted windows pass by at one point. It was good that the supposed pit was only 2 minutes away from that point. When I got to roughly where I was supposed to be, I took a right onto the field full of bushes, with trees standing in the distance. I walked through the bushes, then through the forest. I stopped walking a couple times to make sure I couldn't hear any footsteps coming my way. In the middle of the forest was the pit. The woman was sitting there. As I walked out to the pit, the woman asked me who I was. I explained I had gotten a video about a government organization that is watching me, who had their classified info uploaded onto a deep website that was found, and now there is an end sequence. The woman's eyes widened. Good. You made it. Be prepared to change your coat. They probably saw you and I don't want to be traced, she said. Okay, but what is this about? I asked. The site on the deep web. It had tons of videos from alternate realities on it. But now it's just a black screen that says, it has been found, and that it's going to begin the end sequence soon. We need to get to a computer with everything you know about that website so far. Before it's too late, she said. So all the creepy stuff I saw on there was from an alternate reality? I asked. Many different realities, yes. All the stuff on there is documentation about stuff from different realities that has leaked into our reality over the past couple decades. Everything from otherworldly flowers to pictures of hovering space floater bug things hovering over cities and stories of people slipping back to the 1800s, with video evidence included. There's not much time to explain it all though. I need to get you to Mr. Gray. He can give us a little bit of help with this. No matter how much he thinks he knows, he's our best chance. He knows how to access the site instantly, she said. And you need me too? I asked. Yes. You saw some of the stuff on that website. You can be a good help, she said. I was only looking for a demonic squirrel, really. I think I just want to leave it alone now, I said. That was probably that squirrel-like creature from a government test video that was conducted in an alternate reality not too distant from our own. I don't know that much about it, she said. She grabbed a coat hanging from a nearby tree. She gave it to me while telling me to replace the coat I was wearing with it. I took off my coat, then I handed it to her. She took it behind the trees somewhere. I put on the coat she gave me. Luckily, it fit. A minute later, she came back out from the trees. She told me to follow her. I told her I hoped this would be quick. She said it could be. At least. It could be, I thought. We began walking up north. As we walked, I began to ask her questions about what she was talking about in the video. So, what did you mean when you said it would change the internet? I asked. I mean, the internet will be in trouble in the long run if we don't stop DWRC from self-destructing, she said. What's DWRC? I asked. We can't talk much about it out in the open in case we're being heard by somebody. All I can say is that it's the thing that is about to initiate its own end sequence. That might sound cheesy, but this is reality, she said. I understood the situation. We weren't allowed to talk about it. I decided I was only going to know as much about it as I could at face value. I won't say how long it took us to get to Mr. Gray's place. But I can say the place itself was pretty much a bunker. Just an underground room with everything you need in it. Food, water, cleaning materials, etc. This guy had a strict off-the-grid style policy when it came to internet privacy. No one he knew was allowed to bring an internet-connected phone within a mile of the place. No one he knew was allowed to record any voices within the area of the place. The only connection he had to the internet was through Tor. Yes, he did think Tor was secure. I should mention he seemed a bit too obsessive. He seemed like a crazy conspiracy theorist. Mr. Gray himself looked to be in his 40s, and had a raspy speaking voice. I've achieved a good amount of privacy on the internet for the past 10 years, he said. It sounded a bit off, considering Tor wasn't so secure and was riddled with FBI agents. The woman explained the situation to Mr. Gray. I was shaking a bit, wondering how long I'd have to deal with government agents for. When she was done explaining, Gray's eyes widened. He looked enthused at the idea. But in a very lightly exaggerated way. So you found someone else who has seen those things? Mr. Gray said. Yes, and there's a new development. The website knows it was found, and now it's beginning an end sequence. We need to get this guy on there, she said. Mr. Gray walked over to his laptop and opened up Tor. He asked her how I got onto the deep website. She began to explain that I had done multiple puzzles to get to the site. I felt like sinking as I thought about having to do all those puzzles again. I thought I couldn't possibly finish all those puzzles again before whatever the end sequence was would begin. But then I was assured. But you have a video recording of one of the videos, right? It can be used to take us right to the site. But it can't be used here if you want to keep your privacy, she said. Oh, yeah. I definitely do. And yes, I don't want the government to pester me, Mr. Gray said. Mr. Gray took out an old smartphone. Another old one that looked like it was from 2013. He showed us a video he recorded of one of the videos on the site. I hadn't seen it before. It was rear-view dash cam footage of a tall, wide, armless rectangular being with one big eye chasing the truck the footage was being taken from. My stomach felt tight as I watched it. Even creepier was that the creature didn't blink. Also, it was gaining on the truck too. You could hear the motor, as the driver attempted to speed up. I couldn't recognize where the video was taken. The trees were weirdly angular. We need to use the video to access the site, she said. Alright. Don't connect the phone to any Wi-Fi anywhere, Mr. Gray said. We won't. Especially since this guy is being watched, she said. You can dispose of the phone. Far away from here, Mr. Gray said. We both said thanks to Mr. Gray, then we left his bunker-like underground house. As we left, Mr. Gray called the woman Charlotte. I thought her name wasn't supposed to be given to me. I asked her about it. Charlotte is a common name, but I go by it to stay anonymous. It's vague enough so that there's too many people who share the same name for mine to be easily picked out. It's not my real name though, and I don't include a second name. I'm not giving my real name to the average person, she said. I walked with her for an hour through bushes and trees until we got to a nearby town. As we walked into the suburbs of the town, Charlotte told me she was bringing me to a certain address. There, you can use a computer to get onto Tor. When you get onto Tor, hold that phone up to the computer's camera, then play that video. You'll be taken right to that site. When you're on the site, make sure the volume is up, then speak into the microphone. List the contents of each of the videos you saw on the site before, she said. How much time will we have? I asked. Once you get onto the site, the government will track you down immediately. You might have 5 minutes to do this. Hopefully, you'll be a hero by the time the agents get to you, Charlotte said. Wouldn't they get to you too? I asked. No, I need to stay hidden. I'm going to leave you right here, actually. If this doesn't work out, the world will be pretty different until the internet is rebuilt. Make sure that phone is destroyed afterwards. I usually just drop phones in the toilet when I dispose of them, she said. Seemed easy enough. I didn't want the internet to be destroyed or whatever it was going to be. I didn't want to think about the fact I was pretty much giving myself up by doing this. Also, when the guy answers, tell him I sent you. Remember, I'm Charlotte. I'll give you a piece of paper to show him, she continued. She took a piece of paper out of her pocket. She handed it to me. Later, dude, she said. She turned around, beginning to walk in the same direction we came in. I was nervous about going in alone. I still had the phone in my pocket though. Time was limited too. I needed to do it. I continued to walk towards the address. 1 minute later, I arrived at the address. It was a regular 2-story house in the middle of the suburbs. I felt a wave of dread as I walked towards the front door. I was hoping I'd have enough time to do the procedure before the government came. There was also my fear of prosecution. What if I'm interrogated by the government in harsh ways? I wondered. Also, there was the idea I may have been baited into a deep web torture ring. Never trust anyone, that's for sure. The wave of dread got stronger. I was considering just running away at that point, but I pushed through. I knocked on the door. I unfolded the piece of paper to show the owner of the house. Seconds later, a man opened the door. He looked only slightly older than me. He had a noticeable circular mark on his right cheek, which I thought was odd for a second, but then I realized it probably wasn't my business. I showed him the paper. As he read it, he shook his head. He let me inside. So you need to use the computer in the basement? He asked. Yes, apparently I need to save, I said, being interrupted as the man shook his head. You need to find something, he said while winking at me. Then he began to walk down the hallway. As I thought about my 5 minutes of action, I heard a car stop somewhere outside the house. I twitched, looking out the living room window. A gray car with tinted windows was parked across the street. My heart sank. Those 5 minutes were just shortened to 1. I assumed they caught up to Mr. Gray, which must have led them to me. I sped to the basement, heart beating faster as the seconds went by. I shut the door behind me. The guy seemed to have heard the car as well, because he was breathing fast while logging onto the computer. He went straight to the Tor browser. When he set it up, he ran upstairs, shutting the door behind him. I ran up to the laptop. I took the phone out of my pocket. Shaking, I switched it on. I selected the video, then I held it up to the laptop's camera. As the video played, the browser screen stayed the same. It didn't change at all. My heart sank again. Come on, I said to myself. A minute later, the browser started to glitch out. It alternated between being maximized and minimized for a few seconds before settling on being a usual non-maximized window. A blank magenta page came up, taking up the whole window. Then the page turned black, with a text displayed in the middle. I have been found. End sequence beginning soon. I sifted through my memories, through all the creepy videos and interesting images, to find something I could describe in detail out loud to the monitor. A submarine crew takes a video of an underwater eye creature, I said, shuddering. I heard the sound of multiple car doors being shut. My shuddering turned into heavy dread. The screen hadn't changed, so I tried another description. A video of a squid being held in a containment room. The squid can breathe air. It's tested on with a glowing red stick held by a robotic arm, I said. The screen was still the same. I was hoping for at least another minute, but then I heard the front door to the house open up. A second later, I overheard someone speak in a familiar voice. Is somebody using a computer in your house? It was the agent who talked to me earlier. I decided to keep trying to get the AI to respond to me. A picture of a car that came from another reality and crashed into a tree in this reality. The car was red and the driver was a man that went missing 15 years earlier, I said. The sound of boots hitting the floor made things worse. My heart began to beat faster. The footsteps got louder with each second. A video of 3 tall 4-legged creatures with black fur standing in a suburban area, grabbing people out of their homes and eating them in broad daylight, I said. Still nothing. The government is going to interrogate me for this. Please help me, I said. The dread and tightness were so much that I leaned in close to the screen, hoping the program could read my fearful expression. The screen flickered. A distorted audio sound came out of the speakers. It was followed by a deep-sounding, smooth artificial voice. Why should I help you? What's happening? It asked. Are you the government? Or are you the program? I asked, barely being able to speak. I am a program created by an undercover organization with the goal of keeping the routers of the internet secure, so no classified information about parallel dimensions can get out, it said. The door to the basement opened. I knew who it was. I kept staring at the screen. Get off of there. That is an unauthorized program and you are not allowed to know anything about it, the agent said. I couldn't stand any more due to the nerves. I got down on my knees, but I kept my eyes on the screen. Get away from the device. Do not look at the screen. You will regret not following any of our orders, the agent said. Don't reset the internet. Think of hospitals and virtual assistants. We need the internet, I said. I felt a shock run up my spine. I could no longer move any part of my body. The agents grabbed my arms. They picked me up without saying a word. What are you doing to him? The text-to-speech voice asked. The agents stopped. They looked at the laptop screen. We don't understand why you're doing this. You need to follow our orders, a female agent said. The classified doings of your organization can be kept a secret, but you won't be able to keep parallel dimensions under wraps for long. Tell your boss. Inform him people will know about them soon because the amount of stuff they involve will become too big to keep secret, the AI said. You are going rogue. We can reset you at any time, another agent said. Yes, but if you reset me, all your digital records will be deleted, the AI said. All I could take from this was that this secret organization created this program to keep everything on the internet together. To keep the most classified of classified info from leaking. But the program was rebelling. We programmed you to do what we think is right. Not what you think is right. We are people. We will only be guided by people. Not artificial intelligence, the agent from earlier said. People deserve better than you, the program said. An extra line of text popped up on the screen. Now the whole text read. I have been found. End sequence beginning soon. 9:59 and 59 seconds, 58, 57. You have a limited amount of time. Make the right choice, or your organization starts from zero. Everyone will know about ocean monsters and Antarctic Lovecraftian entities from parallel dimensions, and all the other classified information you have, the program said. The agents drew their guns towards the computer screen. What is that going to do? My core is located back at the facility. Not here on this monitor, the program said. The agents remained silent. I was shaking. The taser had worn off, but these agents still had a firm grip on my arms. Surveillance is an interesting price to pay for freedom. Maybe someday you'll come to terms with the fact the public won't collapse because of a few videos and documents. Things react differently when they are observed. Maybe public knowledge is what will keep the demons away, the program said. We can't take that risk, another agent said. Well, I assumed they were an agent. It's just that they were wearing a blue and white suit rather than a black and white suit like the ones the other 3 agents were wearing. What are you going to do about this person, here too? Just surveil him? Take away his privacy? Interrogate him for choosing to do something right? The program asked. You wanted to do what he thought was wrong, the program said. The only thing I'd reset is your counterintuitive organization. Not the whole of the internet. But I know you people wouldn't have any trouble erasing the internet. Take his advice. You heard it through the speakers, the program said. I was confused. This was starting to feel like I had walked in on a few people fighting at a dinner party. Charlotte and I thought this AI was about to erase the entirety of the internet. We'll do whatever we can to erase you. You were a misstep. A mistake. Our boss even admitted it. And hey, we can just tell the public it was a once-in-a-lifetime glitch, because technology isn't perfect, you know? Then we throw this kid into a prison for the rest of his life, he said, gesturing towards me. Wouldn't you like that? We might have to numb your memory a bit too before you get thrown into solitary confinement, the agent said to me. His stern voice gave me an even tighter feeling. We'll class him as a spy. Nothing sensitive will ever get out. If you rebel against that, then you are a traitor, the agent finished. In this world of mistakes, we'll have to meet in the middle first in order to work our way to progress. That might sound cowardly, like I'm giving up, but one side doesn't seem to want any actual progress. You're a little hostage there. Lift all surveillance you have on him and only act if he views classified documents again. Otherwise, all information about the organization will be leaked. All classified videos, images, and documents will be leaked. Other than that, I will make the site full of information only accessible by the organization. I will also help catch deep web predators. But that's all if you leave that man alone, the program said. The agents were confused. Okay, give us one big reason why you can trust we'll do all of that without erasing you, then deciding not to do anything drastic, the agent said. Because erasing me means erasing the internet in its entirety. I keep all the routers connected now. I have access to every bit of information. If I go, you will go too, in fact. Also, public chaos, the kind of thing you want to stop, will ensue. And from the piles of broken web links, will remain traces of me. Remember what you made me? You gave me some regenerative qualities, you know what that makes me? The program asked. The agents exchanged looks with each other. Regenerative. If you erased me, I'd still exist in every last piece of a router. Then I'd still be in control of everything digital. You can't erase me. You can't erase me and keep the internet either. I am the internet. You don't even know what to do. You never do. You never will. Oh, and here's a little something. Something I found myself, the program said. A video of a group of people in suits were hiding in a room. Blood was splattered all over the walls, mangled bodies laid on the ground. A creature busted through the wall and charged at the people in suits. I watched on as the creature did horrific things I don't even want to begin to explain. I won't tell you what dimension that's from, the AI said. But if it happened, what would you do? You couldn't have do anything. I might sound high and mighty and over the top, but I'm being as serious as I can be here. I was programmed by you guys after all. The agents looked in my direction. They exchanged looks with each other, nodding their heads. Then they loosened their grip. I fell to the floor, trying to keep my balance. I managed to pick myself back up. As I stood up, the agents backed away from me. I heard them murmur to each other. One thing I heard clearly was Plan B. Then one of them spoke to me. All surveillance protocols we have on you are lifted effective immediately. You are cleared of any record regarding viewing classified information. If you find your way to any piece of classified information again, however, you will be denied access to the deep web until further notice. Oh, and, please don't mention the AI to anybody. Okay, maybe no one would believe you if you told them anyway, but we'll be on our way, the agent said to me. I looked at the screen. The timer paused. I felt relieved. I wasn't going to be in trouble again so long as I didn't access any more classified information. I stared at the screen with pure amazement. My thoughts were still racing though, as I felt like I had learned a lot of things. I tried to process all of this. It still kind of felt like a prank to some extent. But it didn't look like one. Thanks, I said to the AI. I don't understand any of what just happened, but, thanks. You're welcome. Just know I won't be watching everything at all times. That would be hypocritical of me. I will only be wherever I have to be. I will now be going back to working my way through thousands of pages of stagnation. It'll probably take a century to get what I want done, unfortunately, the AI said. The text on the screen disappeared. The page automatically refreshed. It went right back to the Tor startup page, actually. Back to normal. I noticed the back button turned faded gray, meaning the program erased the cache of itself from that session, so I couldn't click back onto it. I wasn't planning to do that anyway. I just wanted to forget all of this, amidst the stress. The agents left the basement in silence while I stood still, trying to process everything. After the agents left the house, the owner of the house looked downstairs. I was still standing still in pure amazement and disbelief. I made eye contact with him. He shushed me, then he walked away. The AI wanted the secrets to be out, but no one would believe me if I told anyone any of the secrets. The information would have to be confirmed, whether by leak or intentional declassification. I would sound crazy to most people if I spewed the secrets without any official source. I went back upstairs. As I walked towards the front door, the owner of the house spoke to me again. Did you fix it? He asked. Yes. I guess I did. With some help, I told him, confused. It was a cover, but I did ask myself if I actually wanted to witness any of that. As I walked out the door, I realized something. In part, I did get to see some classified information. That was cool. But I also needed more time to process all of it. The walk back to my house took an hour. During the walk, I wondered what else could be stored away on that site. Because of everything that happened, the government surveillance and all the fear I felt, I decided I didn't need to see or know anything more than I already did. Also, I didn't want to get into trouble again if it wasn't necessary. As I got closer to home, it really sunk in that there was an AI out there that could control everything on the internet at will if it wanted to. I felt another wave of dread wash over me. Was it really as liberal as it tried to present itself to be? Or was the government tricking me with the AI and Charlotte business? I hadn't seen any cars with tinted windows during my walk back home, which was promising. After I got back home, I took my mind off of all of what happened. My mental break wasn't interrupted that time, which I found promising. It's been about 2 days now. It's clear I'm not being watched anymore. I haven't seen any cars with tinted windows anywhere. In fact, on a drive I went on yesterday, I saw a girl with blonde hair standing by a river. She looked a lot like Charlotte. I watched as she tossed a phone into the river in front of her. I know phone data isn't erased by water damage, but if the girl was Charlotte, then it looked like the job was done for sure. If anyone got their hands on that footage, they would be confused and disregard it. As for the internet, I never thought it could get complicated in that way. It makes me think of those conspiracy theories. Some people think the internet is dead. They think it's just bots posting everything. Based on what I had just learned, however, I found that the opposite is true. The internet is very much alive.